Hello JRPG fans, and welcome to this review of God Wars The Complete Legend, the Switch version of God Wars Future Past. This is a game developed by Kanekawa Studios, who notably did Natural Doctrine, a game that got absolutely panned for being overly complex. But this is a strategy RPG in the sort of vein of the likes of Final Fantasy, Shining Force, etc. And if you played any of those previously, or any of the games in this sort of genre, you'll be instantly familiar with this game. Overall, if we look at this game from a critic point of view, it received very middling, mixed reviews overall. But hey, we don't care about their reviews. That's why we're here to talk about our opinions on the game. So, looking at the story first, the story is very much based on Japanese mythology. It has a lot of names and references that if you've ever looked into that, you might recognise. So what we're seeing here, though, is the Queen Tsukiyomi has basically imprisoned her daughter Kaguya in preparation to be sacrificed to the Mount Fuji in case the myriad gods get angry. This has happened before, and the opening sequence is showing exactly that. Kaguya's older sister being sacrificed to the mountain to appease the gods, making Tsukiyomi a great parent, or, not. But yes, very quickly though, we meet another protagonist in the game, Kintaro, who goes out of his way to rescue his friend Kaguya. And from there, they set out on a journey across Japan to find Kaguya's mother, to find out why she's a sacrifice, what's going on with the myriad gods, and possibly to save the world. Classic Japanese RPG style. So, while the story might give you that initial spike of interest, it's the gameplay itself that will keep you coming back to it, and that's what kept me coming back to the game and eventually finishing this 40-hour beast. The gameplay, as I said, is very traditional strategy RPG style. So you've got maps that are gridded out in squares. You and the enemy take turns moving and such in the squared areas, attacking, defending, magic, and all that. But what we have here that sets this apart from others is, firstly, the characters have 3 job types. So you have a sub, a main, and a unique. The sub and main can be switched out after each battle at any point you want, and obviously as you level them up and such, you unlock new potentials to set into these classes and unlock new skills and all that sort of such thing. The unique class, though, never changes. Every character has a different one with different skills. It's kind of what differentiates them from their friends. So you could have everyone set up as a samurai spiritualist, but their unique job would still differentiate them all. Going from there, in the game itself, like in the battles themselves, you have an increasing MP system. So you start the match with 0, or with certain skills you might start higher, but each turn you gain more. So it's kind of, instead of being able to blow all your biggest skills straight away, you have to build up to be able to use them. And while at the end of the game this felt a bit moved because you had loads of abilities you'd set in place to start in a good position straight away, early on in the game this gets you really thinking, because you need to think about how you're going to build up your MP to use the skills that you need to use. And if I use this big one, I don't get to use these other ones that need to carry me through the map. So yeah, that added an interesting element, and coupled with a lot of the other strategy RPGs, you tend to keep a lot of skills when you change jobs. But in this one, there are certain ones, like the passive abilities that you keep, but the actual main bulk of attacking and support spells and such, you don't carry over when you change class. So you could have completely leveled out a class, but you want to build up the next one that you've unlocked, but you have to realise that you're going back to 0 with that class and losing all the skills you've been carrying. So to help alleviate this, there is side quests. You get this kind of simplistic map that's just literally spots with little paths going to it, And at certain points you have shrines or shops. So the shops, obviously it's simple, you buy your items. The shrines, on the other hand, either spending money at the shrine will buff the shrine to a higher level and give you a stat boost for the next map. The higher the level you get the shrine, the better the stat boosts. But it also is where the side quests are. So they give you a little reward and they're repeatable, which means you can use them to level up your characters. There are certain ones, I'm not going to lie, that I abused the hell out of to buff my characters towards the end of the game. But yeah, so from here you're basically going around the map, doing all the battles and such, unlocking new classes, getting new characters and leveling them up. There is a weakness in the setup though. I'd say the weakest element is the item system. You can manually set them, but it's really painful going through each character and setting each item. So I never knew if I actually had the best setup. I never even looked at the equipment because there's an auto equip option, and I just hit that because it was just too painful equipping and de-equipping items to see which one's the best. So yeah, auto equip was the entire way through. So I don't know if at the end of the game I actually had the best equipment I could get or what. It was like in a lot of other games, you feel like when you get the next sword, you find this magical amulet, you're like looking at it and you're like, yes, this gives me what I need to continue. In this game it was just like I just need to click the button to make my numbers slightly bigger. I got all these weird named unique items that were yellow instead of white text, and they didn't feel like they meant anything to me, even though they were named items and such, which was unfortunate. That was kind of like one of the weakest elements I felt in the gameplay. Yeah, from a sound and like visual style, the sound is okay. The audio, like the songs and such, were pretty good. They're enough to bob your head along to and such. The dub, on the other hand, is a bit of a mixed bag. I tried with the English to see how it was, and the sound levels were all over the place. And if you look at my Let's Try, you can see that. The Japanese one was a little bit better, but still, I tended to just overall, I just blanked it all out. But on the graphics side, so you have some of these absolutely beautiful animated cutscenes throughout the game when you hit key story points, and they're really nice. Like the opening one is good as well. The map interface and the menus look quite stylish. The character portraits, even if I felt Kintaro's was a bit weird, as in he never moves his hand from his face, which is really annoying, they're quite good. They fit the style and everything. The map screen especially, I quite like the layout, and it's very, very Japanesey, like traditional Japanesey art styled. But the battles, I mean, it's a PS4 game originally, released on the Switch, and they've gone for that chibi kind of art style, big head, little bodies. The maps themselves look okay, but the character models, it's just like, I understood this in SNES times, even on the DS and stuff like that, PSP, where a lot of strategy games are. But come on, for a PS4 game, please give us a strategy game that actually looked good. Like, I quite like the models in Natural Doctrine. Like, it was good to see a strategy game with that higher end graphics. I'd say higher end in quotation marks, but still they went back to the chibi style, and it's fine. But it's just, it could be so much better. That was disappointing from my point of view. But overall, it gets by. It does the job. But yeah, so bringing it all together, if you like strategy games, I can't see why you wouldn't enjoy this. While the sound and graphics and story might not be the best, they're serviceable, and the gameplay itself is a solid strategy RPG. So I kind of agree with a lot of what the critics have said. It's I don't give scores and such, but it's not great. It's just good. It's playable. If you're hankering for a strategy RPG and you don't feel like playing one of the classics again, then it'll get you by. It's got some depth to it, and overall it was enjoyable. Not the best, not the worst. And I hope that makes sense. And well, if you enjoyed this, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and hopefully see you again soon. Bye.